Hey guys, it's January 2nd, 2026. Let me start with a confession. If you think America has no immigration problem, you're probably not paying attention. And if you think immigration itself is the problem, you're also missing the point. Because America is literally built by immigrants, but it wasn't built by fraud, fake nonprofits, or people treating the system like an ATM. So today, I want to talk about Minnesota, illegal immigration, and why being pro immigrant doesn't necessarily mean pro chaos. And before anyone gets mad, no, this is not a conspiracy rant. No, this is not about hating immigrants. I mean, how can I do that as a foreign born living in the States for a couple of years now? And yes, facts matter. Let's get into it. So, America is a country built by immigrants, as I mentioned earlier, and that's not a slogan. That is just history. People crossed oceans, borders, deserts, and checkpoints to come here because they believe this place offered something rare, opportunity paired with rules. You work, you follow the law, and over time, you earn your own place. That idea, earn belonging, is what made the American experiment work for more than 2 centuries. And that's exactly why illegal immigration hits such a nerve. Because when people cut the line, exploit the broken systems, or treat the country like an open wallet instead of a shared project, it's not just unfair to taxpayers, it's also slap in the face to legal immigrants, the ones who waited for years, filled out paperwork, paid fees, learned the language, studied civics, and did everything the right way. I want to be very clear about something up front here. Um, Being against illegal immigration doesn't necessarily mean being against immigrants. In fact, I would argue the opposite. If you actually respect immigrants, if you actually value the sacrifice it takes to come here legally, then you should be furious when the system is abused. Lately, Minnesota has become a case study in what happens when good intentions meet weak oversight. We're not talking about small mistakes or paperwork errors. We're talking about massive fraud, hundreds of millions, potentially over $1 billion, flowing through social service programs that were meant to help children and families. Fake nonprofits, empty daycare centers, inflated invoices, programs that existed on paper but not in real life. Yes, some of the people charged in these cases come from immigrant communities. That fact makes everybody uncomfortable, but ignoring it doesn't make it go away. The problem isn't where people are coming from. The problem is that happens when government accountability disappears and nobody asks hard questions because they're afraid of being labeled. What makes this worse is that the consequences don't land on the fraudsters alone. When federal funding gets frozen, when audits get imposed, when trust collapses, it hurts real families who actually need help. It hurts working parents, it hurts kids, and it fuels resentment, especially towards immigrants who are doing everything right and now get painted with a broad brush because of someone else's greed. The real issue here is systems that reward exploitation instead of contribution. America isn't just a place you arrive at, it's a society you join. That means learning the language, understanding the norms, respecting the laws, and yes, feeling some sense of gratitude. Not blind gratitude, not silence, but an acknowledgement that this country gave you something worth protecting. Assimilation isn't oppression, it's participation. Every successful immigrant group in American history understood this. Irish, Italians, Jews, Koreans, Vietnamese. None of it was easy. They faced discrimination, worked brutal jobs, and still pushed their kids to integrate, to move forward, to build something better. They didn't demand the country bend entirely around them. They bent themselves toward the country while still keeping, parts of their identity. That balance matter. What frustrates people today isn't diversity, it's entitlement. It's watching government programs get gamed while working Americans struggle with inflation, housing costs, healthcare bills. It's seeing empty buildings get paid for, services not delivered, and officials pointing fingers instead of fixing problems. And this isn't just Minnesota. New York, California, Illinois, same story, different zip code. Emergency powers become permanent loopholes. Temporary contracts get renewed again and again. Oversight gets waived in the name of urgency, and suddenly nobody knows where the money went. When fraud becomes normalized, trust collapses. That's also why the immigration debate is colliding with bigger constitutional questions like birthright, citizenship, asylum standards, enforcement authority. These aren't abstract legal theories anymore. They're pressure points in the system stretched beyond what it was designed to handle. You can believe America should remain open and still say the current setup isn't sustainable. You can support compassion and still demand order. Those ideas aren't enemies, they're partners. Here's the uncomfortable truth. When leaders refuse to enforce rules, they don't create justice, they create chaos. And chaos always hurts the most vulnerable first. It hurts legal immigrants who get stuck waiting longer. It hurts poor citizens who demand on functioning services. It hurts communities when resentment replaces trusts. And it hurts immigrants themselves when backlash grows. Accountability is not cruelty. If you come here legally or seeking asylum, there should be an expectation that you contribute, not exploit. Work if you can, learn the language, respect the law, rules and regulations. Understand that welfare programs are not free money. They're shared resources funded by millions of people who show up to work every single day. And yes, gratitude matters. Not because America is perfect, but because opportunities like this are rare. Gratitude is the foundation of responsibility, and I understand desperation. I understand war, poverty, and fear. I understand why people come, but understanding motives doesn't mean ignoring outcomes. We can walk and chew gum at the same time. We can reject racism and reject fraud. We can welcome immigrants and still enforce borders. We can care about children and still demand receipts. The moment we stop asking questions because they're uncomfortable is the moment the system breaks it completely. Minnesota didn't become a fraud magnet overnight. It happened slowly. One waived rule at a time, one unchecked contract at a time. One official saying, let's not rock the boat. Well, the boat is rocking now. And if we actually want immigration to work here in America long term, sustainably, fairly, then we have to rebuild trusts. That means enforcing laws, fixing broken programs, and making it crystal clear that this country rewards contribution, not manipulation. America should remain a place people want to come, but it shouldn't be a place that's easy to take advantage of. Because once that happens, everybody loses. Peace out.